very much, Jess. Congratulations to LG. They now sit top of Division B at the end of all of the first round of matches. Of course, many people expected that one to be a little closer in terms of the final score, but I think the final score doesn't really tell the final story, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, the first hard point said a lot. It was back and forth. I was actually just sat out front and just with a couple of the EnVy staff, and they were kind of so disappointed, so close yet, you know, that kind of downer, and it's frustrating for EnVy. I think they need to take the positives from this, but LG just again coming out, no kind of pressure, I would say, going into the second set of matches, obviously in a couple of weeks' time. But I do agree with what Merck said. You know, sometimes a loss will bring you back to reality, let you know that you're beatable. You have weaknesses and you can still improve. I think that's the thing about a team. If you go on crazy win streaks, you get that kind of delusional confidence that, you know, you can challenge things you shouldn't. And I like the way the Luminosity, you know, even came from behind in a lot of these maps as well.
This game was awesome. I was a huge fan because my expectation going in was just, it's Octane versus Slasher.
Right,
we finally get our answer of like who's the better AR, but then interestingly enough, throughout the series, it was like everyone else kind of had like a nice little game. Like obviously Slasher did pretty well, but it was Temp that like was probably having the best game overall for his squad, and same thing with Slack. So it was nice that like I thought it was going to be the AR battle, and then it turns into other players. Then of course Huke actually has that 1.39 KD, but 10-point game, it literally comes down to the wire. And oddly enough, we finished the game on the pit center, which you don't see very often. It was LG. It's just the early rotation to the mid map of all places, win all the gunfights, forced to spawn out by the prison area. So obviously not a convincing win. Again, EnVy, there's a lot of positives they can take away, even if it's a close series. Like a close series against LG, if you had told me that was going to happen 2 weeks ago, I'd have been like, I don't necessarily believe you. That'd be crazy for EnVy. But now they come out and they've proven that they can obviously beat most of the best teams in the world, and even the guys that are at the tippy top, as close as it gets.
Yep. Great map one, of course, there from LG, but to your point there, Chance, very, very close. EnVy definitely had chances of taking it. Then, of course, we head over to game two, the Search and Destroy, obviously on St. Marie du Mont, and again, back and forth action. Yeah, it really was, and again, kind of some standout moments. Luminosity continued kind of their ending towards the, you know, towards the hard point. Started off strong. Octane in particular, especially, you can see on the scoreboard to the top right there, starting 7-0. He kind of just went on a bit of a tear, and you know that's what a player like Octane can do, and it's not just a respawn kind of thing. You know, this guy can do the same in Search and Destroy. You don't see it, you know, that often. You see him putting good scores up, but a streak like that really does change the game and set the pace for the Search and Destroy. The one thing I do want to touch on, I kind of spoke about before this series started, was this was when we were going to see, you know, how good Huke and Temp was in the respawn. I was really, really impressed with them. I've got, you know, high hopes for them kind of going on and forward after this series, but again, super close back and forth Search and Destroy.
And to touch on the Slasher versus Octane matchup, this Search and Destroy without a doubt is what establishes Octane in my mind. He has been bonkers in Search and Destroy, like absolutely lights out. The kills per round he posts, I think, are only rivaled by like Dashy at open events, and Dashy drops like 20 occasionally, and then TJ Haley. And outside of that, it's Octane is like, he is next in line. Like, he is just ferocious in the game mode, and Slasher's fine, like, by all accounts, but like we saw as the Huke show that game. So that's the separation in my mind. Of course, it's only a slight edge at that, but Octane to me, maybe the best AR in the world. If not, it's incredibly close at the very least. So he's a complete monster. I think Huke had a fantastic game as well, and as Momo kind of pointed out, that's what you appreciate to see, that everyone that is kind of taking the back foot of like the, not the star kind of role on EnVy, they are performing incredibly well.
Yep, they definitely were, but unfortunately at that point they're 2-0 down. We go over to capture the flag on Arda and Forest, and it looked as if maybe this was where a reverse sweep could begin here, Momo.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you remember, obviously, the kind of the pre-match talk. This was where I actually kind of was the one to kind of say EnVy I actually thought would win this CTF, and I think this is where you kind of see that the best Temp and Huke and Slasher especially. I love watching Slasher on Forest. Point out, Slack started 1-10. You know, this is
worse.
it wasn't. I mean, I stopped at 1-10. I was like, okay, what's going wrong here? But again, you end the half at 1-0, and you go into the second half. I mean, it does. I actually didn't realize it got worse than that. Okay, fair enough. I should have seen that 2-12, and then you see here 4-15. He's not particularly improving, but he's starting to go neutral. But you do see the improvement. You see the chemistry kind of coming through from Luminosity, and I do think this is actually a tough loss for EnVy. I think it's a series. Sorry, it's a map that I think they should have won.
If you can handle playing 3v4 for 5 minutes and only go down one flag, like as long as that one player does kind of turn things around, which Slag did to his credit. The 7-19 doesn't look great, but again, he came from 1-12, so obviously the second half he was just there. He was present. LG, that's literally all they needed for the map. So again, solid performance for LG. I think the biggest takeaway is that they're not perfect. They are definitely beatable, even from a team that's not second in the standings, but even third, and a team that's lost like Unilad as well. So FaZe, they've had some rough patches, but the best team in the world is fallible. And then, of course, the flip side, Envy as well. It's the same story. They are fallible. They still have holes in their game, even if they're small ones that they can work on, and it's exciting to see from both of these teams. These are easily the teams you got to be happiest about from the wild division that is Division B.
Yep, LG, of course, with a 3-0 win, go top of the division, but there's still one more